Hello everyone, I am Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English. In our today's video, we'll cover a new threat that has emerged to India's northeastern borders. What is this new threat? How should India counter it? Everything we'll discuss in our today's video. Now let us get away by understanding the recent political development that has happened in Bangladesh. Recently only, Bangladesh's 13th general election concluded and it gave two simultaneous political messages. First message is that the Bangladesh Nationalist Party has come into power and they have formed the government, which was mostly on the expected lines. But second, which is more surprising, is that a ideologically tilted party, an Islamist party, that is Bangladesh Jamaat-e-Islami, has registered an unprecedented upsurge both in terms of votes and in terms of seats that they have gotten in the Bangladeshi parliament. So this creates a strategic problem for India. This creates a kind of a security threat, particularly to the states which share their boundaries with Bangladesh, right? So we are going to understand this matter in great detail, how search for a radical Islamist party can create problems for India. Now the notes which I will be using in our today's session, in case if you want to download them, you can go to a particular Telegram channel called as ATS Live, and while you're at it, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel also. Okay, so let us understand first is how the structural shift has happened in Bangladesh's politics. Now, first I told you BNP has won, which they have won more than 200 seats in the Bangladesh parliament. But from India's perspective, what becomes more dangerous is the Jamaat's ability to secure 68 seats in Bangladesh parliament, and at the same time they got close to 32% of the total votes polled. Now this is a high for Jamaat. First of all, the last peak that they got was in 1991, many moons ago, and they won about 18 seats and got about 12% of vote share. So compare their last peak with present peak. They got 12% of the vote share and this has increased to roughly 2.5 times. What is more striking from India's perspective is that the broader right-wing Islamist parties in Bangladesh, adding with Jamaat, they have gotten roughly 38% vote, which is more than 2.5 times the amount that they got in the last election, which was 15%. So this more democratically upsurge of an ideal right-wing Islamist parties brings up bad news for India, and this highlights a structural shift in Bangladesh's politics. First, let us understand on what basis did Jamaat get so many votes. First is the political opportunity. Now you need to understand Jamaat was banned by the Supreme Court of Bangladesh from contesting elections back in 2013. So the elections that happened in Bangladesh after 2013, that is in 2014, 2019 and 2024, Jamaat was not able to contest elections. Now, on this ban, or because of this ban, the marginalization that happened of Jamaat for the politics in Bangladesh, it created a wave of sympathy for them, and using this wave of sympathy, Jamaat was able to consolidate its vote bank. So this was the first reason why Jamaat got so many votes this time. The other reasons, they include that the earlier main party in Bangladesh's politics, that was Awami League, it couldn't contest elections this time. So the vacuum that was left in the Bangladesh politics was harnessed by parties like BNP and Jamaat, and they increase their vote share by a huge amount. Similarly, the traditional phases that happened during the time period when interim government ruled Bangladesh, which was led by Muhammad Yunus, they created a condition which was radical in nature, and in that radically charged politics in Bangladesh, parties like Jamaat got so many benefits. The voters who were charged using the ideological rhetoric that was provided by the interim government, the benefit of all this was cornered by parties like Jamaat. So this is the first reason, the political opportunity that created the way of Jamaat getting more votes in the election. Similarly, any political party relies on a proper vote bank that it caters to win elections. But in order to get more seats, they have to approach more amount of voters. So that requires a kind of a tactical shift. And Jamaat did exactly that in this election. First is the core vote bank of Jamaat is actually derived by student and religious organizations. So this is due to their grassroots network that the Jamaat has in a more radicalized Bangladeshi society. So this ideological clarity that the Jamaat-like parties have, it provides them a committed voter base. So this is your consolidated voter base. Now to add to it, what Jamaat did, that it harnessed the economic anxiety that presented in the Bangladesh. What is Bangladesh's largest industry? It is the textile industry. And textile industry in Bangladesh have been facing problems since the COVID-19 pandemic, which added after the exit of Sheikh Hasina from the Bangladesh politics. So when a country is under economic stress, when there is a governance fatigue due to the scams did by Awami League, it created a ideological opportunity for parties like Jamaat to cater to vote banks on the issues of nationalism, on issues of their religious identity. So this played in favor of Jamaat. They harnessed the economic anxiety that was there with the people of Bangladesh, and it gave them so many votes. Similarly, what Jamaat did, that it relied on strategic moderation when it comes to their outlook towards many key issues that plagues Bangladesh politics. For example, they softened their approach towards minority rights so much so that they even fielded a Hindu candidate who after all was not able to win the election, but it gave a messaging that Jamaat has now become softer when it comes to minorities. So they did not alter their core vote bank. They went soft on certain problematic issues, and it helped them get more votes. Similarly, what was more important from India's perspective is Jamaat's penetration into the politics of Dhaka. Dhaka has 20 seats, and Jamaat out of these 20 seats got 6 seats, which is a huge win for Jamaat. And this shows that Jamaat, from a peripheral political party, now has become a mainstream ideological competitor to main political parties in Bangladesh like the BNP and the Awami League. So this are the key reasons that showed why Jamaat got so many votes. Now let us come back to the core topic that we have to discuss: how this surge in the vote bank of Jamaat creates problems for India's northeast region. Now, you have to understand there are 5 states in India's eastern part of our country that share boundaries with Bangladesh. Let me change the pen color. You can see West Bengal, Meghalaya, Assam, Tripura and Mizoram. These are the 5 states that share their boundaries with Bangladesh. Our more attention is towards the regions that are there on the India-Bangladesh border. First of all, you have to understand there are many anti-India groups that operate in Northeast, like the United Liberation Front of Assam, ULFA. Now, what ULFA used to do, it used to use the land of Bangladesh to create mayhem in the Indian regions of Assam. Now, these groups historically were not being provided the safe haven when Awami League was in power. As you can recall, Sheikh Hasina and her party, Awami League, was very amenable to India's interests. So whenever these parties sought refuge in the soil of Bangladesh, Awami League ensured that they were thrown out of Bangladesh. But now, whenever a party like BNP, or for that matter Jamaat-e-Islami, is in power, or they have a significant voter base now, this would create opportunities for anti-India groups like ULFA and other terrorist organizations like Jamaatul Mujahideen Bangladesh and Harkatul-e-Jihad-e-Islami Bangladesh to create anti-India rhetoric. They can be provided with safe havens in the country, and this would ensure a bad news as far as security development of India's northeast is concerned. You will be surprised to hear there was this 2004 Chittagong arms haul case, which was an arms haul case meant for ULFA to create terrorist activities in India. You know who was convicted in that? The leadership who were linked with Jamaat-e-Islami. And Jamaat-e-Islami is the party which provides cadres to these terrorist organizations also. So you can understand why Jamaat-e-Islami becoming politically dominant is a good news for these terrorist organizations and is a bad news for India's northeastern region. Similarly, you have to understand the geography where Jamaat-e-Islami won their seats. Jamaat-e-Islami, from this map you can realize they got their seat in the northwest region of Bangladesh and in the southwest region of Bangladesh. Southwest region of Bangladesh shares its boundary with the state of West Bengal. Northwest region of the Bangladesh, they shares their boundary with the state of Assam and the state of Meghalaya. So these districts in the state of Assam, Meghalaya and West Bengal, or which are bordering to these 3 states like Khulna, Rangpur and Rajshahi, this is where the Jamaat has more seats. Now, these areas which are adjoining to Indian states like West Bengal, Assam and Meghalaya, this is where Jamaat has become electorally dominant, and this creates opportunities for radicalization in these districts. Now, radicalization may happen in these districts due to higher recruitment of radicalized individuals who are brainwashed into thinking whatever the problem is with them is because of India only. Similarly, they may encourage informal safe havens of organizations like ULFA, like the terrorist organizations I mentioned before, and they may also create opportunities for smuggling of arms and narcotics politics into Indian territory, which might happen from districts where Jamaat is in power in Bangladesh, which are bordering districts of West Bengal, Assam and Meghalaya. So this is how it can create problems for the security architecture that India has laid down so carefully in the northeastern part of the country. Now, the biggest question is how diplomatically it would make things difficult for government of India. First, as you can understand, the Jamaat has gotten a strong foothold in the capital of Bangladesh, that is Dhaka. So whenever a party gets a strong foothold in the capital city of that country, they get more media reach, they have a higher leverage in the policy debates, and they have a more street mobilization capacity that can threaten the party that is in power. You can correlate it with the kind of media coverage Aam Aadmi Party got in India when they got elected in the Delhi Assembly, right? Now, in that region, India would have to deal with two kinds of political outfits. Naturally, we have to be dealing with the BNP formally because they are in power in Bangladesh, but at the same time, Jamaat, just because of their higher number of seats in the parliament, they are the principal opposition party in the Bangladeshi parliament. Because of their foothold in Bangladesh, they can create pressures on BNP not to deal with India in a formal manner. Through street mobilization, through parliamentary pressure, they can create problems for BNP. Now, how this would be problematic as far as India's and Bangladesh relation is concerned? First of all, because of Jamaat principally in power, principally important in the Bangladesh politics, that would create opportunities for anti-India narrative. So any decision that the BNP government might take vis-a-vis Indian relations, that might be painted by BNP or by Jamaat-e-Islami as an approach to compromise Bangladesh sovereignty. So suppose tomorrow if India signs a trade deal with Bangladesh, if India signs a transit arrangement with Bangladesh, or even have a security cooperation with Bangladesh, the Jamaat-e-Islami may paint that BNP has sovereignty or compromise the sovereignty of Bangladesh in interacting with India. So this might even make things or issues which are prevalent in India-Bangladesh relations more difficult to be solved. For example, we already not have signed a Teesta water sharing agreement. Similarly, border fencing is a key issue where both of these countries may not see together each other. Similarly, transit to northeastern regions from Bangladesh is very important if we have to connect regions of northeast with the rest of the country, right? So all of these issues, the problems in all of these issues might not be solved because of the Jamaat's opposition to all of these issues. Similarly, if India reacts strongly to this kind of an opposition that the Jamaat-e-Islami might create in the politics of Bangladesh, Jamaat-e-Islami might try to paint this India's reaction as in India's interference in the domestic politics. So this Islamist positioning that the Jamaat-e-Islami might take may make things difficult for Indian diplomacy as it's to have with the Bangladesh politics. Now let us understand how or what should India do in order to navigate through the strategic minefield. First approach that comes to my mind, I've borrowed this approach from India's relations with Maldives. As you can recall, few years back when the present president of Maldives was elected, he had a very anti-India outlook in his election campaigns. So what India did when he came to power, India did not react. India waited for a right opportunity that whenever they would require cooperation from India, they themselves would become pro-India, right? So this is what is called a strategic patience. So what we can do via strategic patience is that we have to accept the democratic outcome that has happened in Bangladesh, and at the same time we should avoid making any alarmist public statements, because if we make any alarmist public statements, it would empower the hardliners in Bangladesh politics and it would shrink the space for moderate forces in Bangladesh who are more amenable to interest with India, right? Third, or the second reason in this regard is we have to institutionalize the security cooperation by keeping areas of intelligence sharing, joint border patrols and counter-terrorist frameworks. They have to be insulated from party politics. So even despite the fact different parties might come into power in Bangladesh tomorrow, our security cooperation would remain continuous. It would not be subjected to party politics. So we have to ring fence it from party politics. Another thing that we can do diplomatically is to engage in quiet diplomacy. Now we already have to engage with BNP leadership consistently, but at the same time we can also try to maintain back channel communications with all the important political actors in political spectrum, which includes even Jamaat-e-Islami, because them turning against us is a bad news for India. So we can't react to it, but we have to manage that problem. Another thing that we can do is monitor the ideological ecosystem. Now, ideological ecosystem in the Bangladesh politics becomes very important. So if we have tabs on recruitment patterns of people, if we have tabs on financial flows, and if we are keeping the tabs on radical propaganda networks, we can assuage the exact amount of radicalization that might happen in Bangladesh politics, and we can react accordingly. Understood? So what is our conclusion from our today's discussion? The 2026 verdict that brings new political phase in Bangladesh does not mean immediate destabilization with the relations of India. Now what we'll see here, that BNP would be governing the politics of Bangladesh, but it would be heavily now be influenced by parties like Jamaat-e-Islami. So in this regard, what we can do, the shift is not we have to control, rather we have to manage this shift, and so that this crisis does not lead to dramatization of the Bangladesh and India relations. At the same time, we have to keep a calibrated vigilance. We have to maintain institutional continuity as far as security cooperation is concerned. And at the same time, we have to maintain a strategic posture or composure so that our reaction is not used by parties like Jamaat-e-Islami to create further radicalization in the politics, right? So this is how India's politics and its approach should be like. Now, before solving a practice question that I've curated exactly on the lines of UPSC exam, you have to understand one thing. We have started admissions for the February evening batch, which will begin classes from 26th of February. To take admissions, we have now offered a power play sale. In this sale, you are going to get maximum discounts up to 50% off on all the courses. This is a limited period offer, so please hurry up, take the admission, and if you use the code ATS Live, you're going to get maximum discounts on all the courses, including the 2027 and 2028 foundation courses. Understood? And this is the question that I want you to solve from our today's discussion. You will be easily able to solve it. Consider the following states. Out of these 6 states, how many states in India share land boundaries with Bangladesh? Please let me know the correct answers in the comment section, and the ones who are waiting to download the notes, this is where you get the notes. The channel's name is called as ATS Live, and if you have troubles in locating the channel, this is the QR code you can always scan. So this is all from my side today. Please have a very good night. We'll see each other again tomorrow.